It's February 6, 2020, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Quinn, coming to you right on time, as always, from Studio B here at the Co-Prosperity Sphere. Thank you very much to Lumpen Radio for having me on yet again. I wonder if I'm going to have extra pops and because I took off my little screen. What's that little screen that's supposed to go in? Pop filter. I took it off because it reeked like halitosis. So I had to take it off. I couldn't find anything to clean it with. Anyway, welcome, listeners of WLPN. This is not the attention deficit radio show anymore, as you can probably tell. It's now the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable, and I am your host, Chris Quinn, as I think I just said. Anyway, let's get on. Let's right this ship. So I want to thank Lumpen Radio. I want to thank the fearless leaders of said station, Misters Logan Bay and Jamie Trecker, for having me on once again. Thank you guys very much. It's nice to be here in Studio B. Nice quiet Studio A today. They're getting ready for their new show, which is pretty cool, about the origins of fan fiction. Pretty cool. You should check it out. If you are in the Bridgeport area, if you listen over the airwaves, 105.5 FM, thank you. Whether it's over the terrestrial radio or via the online radio apps like TuneIn and stuff like that, thank you. If you're listening via podcast, thank you as well for downloading us. Always appreciate that. And the ratings and reviews, keep them coming. We love them. Letters are great too. You can send them handwritten or electronically. Oh, I think I have a handwritten letter unless I left it at, well, we'll see. I might have a handwritten letter. And if you want to send me a handwritten letter, you can send it to 3219 South Morgan Street. I take it back. That will get into the hands of, hold on. I've screwed up. Don't send it to the Co-Prosperity Sphere. Start over. Start the live show over. No, it's 3173 North Elston. That's the Beer Temple. That it will actually get to me. Chicago, Illinois, 60618, 3173 North Elston. And thanks, guys, who've been sending me letters lately. Much appreciated. Most of you still send them electronically to insiders@craftbeertemple.com. Those are great, too. Always appreciate it. And thanks, guys, for the support and for taking the time to send in the letters. Always nice to see that sort of thing. But if you're listening for the first time, welcome. Thank you. If you're still listening, I'm impressed. But what are you listening to? This is the Insiders Roundtable, and it is essentially a show that I try to put together each week where I get a group of people who have made beer a part of their lives, whether that's making beer or selling beer or marketing beer or writing about beer or educating people about beer or whatever it is. Somehow they have made craft beer a part of their life, and we kind of get together and talk about topics that are relevant to us. So I try to, it's trying to equate when I sit around, one of my favorite watering holes and have some beers with people whose opinions I want to hear from, who come from different areas of the industry, and we sit down and talk. So that's what we're trying to do with this show, the Insiders Roundtable. And with that, I will start introducing my guests. Before I do so, though, I have to mention that their opinions are solely their own and not the opinions of any of the entities think I just heard a pop. I heard a pop, Surge. Not the opinions of any of the entities they may be affiliated with. For example, Lumpen Radio or anything else. It's just their own opinions, everybody. So cut them some slack here. But with that, I will introduce my guests. I always do this in order of seniority, that being how many times you have been on the show. I'm not familiar with any other forms of seniority that would be relevant. But number one, most senior guest, I think. I mean, you took a long break. You kind of boycotted the show, but seems like I've worn you down and got you to come back on, Mr. Buster, a.k.a. Eric Kapraun. So, we've got another guest standing out in the cold. The door is locked.
You got it?
Not you. You're being introduced.
Oh.
You're the one person who can't go let in, Mr. Karl Clockers. But how are you, Eric? What's up?
I'm great, Chris. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me on once again.
Yeah. You've been on now a couple times recently, right?
Yeah, I was on in December. Now I'm back.
Yeah.
Final appearance.
Yeah, that's right. This is your farewell tour. Yeah. So,
Very true.
Congrats on that.
Thank you.
What's new with you over at Half Acre?
Not much. Producing events and experiences. That's
Yeah,
what I've
good.
been focusing on. Rolled out a new tour program over there. Otherwise, that's what's been going on. Setting up for some fun stuff this year in 2020.
Okay. What sort of stuff?
Some fun events, some fun beer releases, switching up some stuff. Some beers are going away. Some beers are coming back. We just launched our IPA in 12 packs, 12-ounce cans. So that's been going well.
Bodum
IPA, yeah. So it hasn't even been out a year yet. It's already moved up to 12-pack status.
Nice. Year-round 12-pack, 12-ounce, right?
Yep.
Very cool. But you won't give us any hot scoops on
Juicy tips?
Yeah, come on, man. What experiences are you concocting for everyone?
Well, so we're going to be launching a beer called Fader into it's going to be a bigger part of our lineup this year, and I'm trying to put together
It's your pills, right?
Yeah, well, we're calling it a lager. Thank you very much.
Oh, got it.
We don't have two Pilsners out at the same time.
Right. You're calling it a light hoppy lager.
Right.
Got it.
But I'm trying to put together a field day around the launch or the release of the beer where we'll have
like camp style, like
it'll be
three-legged races and stuff.
A lot of outdoor activities, stuff like that. So very early on in the process of that. But
okay,
that and the 5th version of the Big North in August will be a fun time.
Can I make a suggestion for the camp? No, it wasn't it was the field day thing.
Sure.
Can the participants compete against the Half Acre people, and the Half Acre people have to play the role of the kids from the rich kid camp?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do
so
that.
you all have to have like sweaters tied around your neck and
Yes.
stuff like that.
We're the preppies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Docksiders,
When I think of all my coworkers, that's where my head goes. So sure.
Yeah, I could definitely see Lee fitting right into that. He basically is that now. Is he in Chicago or is he still in the Hamptons?
He might be in the Bahamas right now.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, that sounds like a fun experience.
Should be a good time. Let's
looking
hope
forward
that
to
it happens and I didn't just lie to a bunch of people.
No, you said you're working on it. You didn't say it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on one final time. I appreciate it.
Yep.
My next guest is Mr. Josh Noel, beer writer extraordinaire. How are you, man?
I'm well.
Yeah?
Thank
Good.
you.
Good.
Thank you for having me on your show again.
You're very welcome. I'm
I
glad that
always
you're well.
enjoy it. I
It's,
am well,
It's
yes.
flu season.
It's flu season, but I'm well. I got the secret. Keeps me healthy.
What is the secret? Or is it you have to keep it a secret?
No, I'll share it with the people. I'm a man of the people, a person of the people, and the secret, ladies and gentlemen,
Gorilla paw soup.
with fresh ginger.
Ah, fresh ginger.
Yeah, eat fresh ginger.
Okay.
And at the first sign of a cold,
Mm-hmm.
take a clove of garlic,
Mm-hmm.
put it on a teaspoon with some honey.
Mm-hmm.
Eat that thing.
Raw?
Raw. Yeah. It's pretty gnarly, but you know what? It knocks it out. That's at the first sign of illness. those two things, raw ginger and raw clove of garlic at the first sign of illness, and you will make it through winter and flu season unscathed.
Okay, you heard it here first, guys. Are you able to sleep in the same room as your wife after you eat that whole clove of raw garlic?
Yes, after.
Okay.
But first comes the. Did you just eat garlic?
Mm-hmm.
That is part of it, but she knows to expect it from me now, so it's cool.
Well, this is only slightly embarrassing, but there's a pizza shop around the corner from the store, and there's one of the pizzas where they put on it's roasted, but 7-8 whole cloves of garlic on the pizza.
That's my place. Yep.
And I ate one of these pizzas. It's a personal style, and then the next day, my wife, after I showered, after I changed, said, "Something's wrong with you. You smell. Something's wrong with how you smell. The bedroom smells." And did you take a shower? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And we realized it was the enormous amounts of garlic I had been eating. So I felt really good and very confident going throughout the day. I realized after I had come home, it was the following evening she told me this, and I had just come back from teaching a class with a room full of people. Ooh. Yeah, and they'd all been coming up to me and, thanking me and stuff like that. So I'm sure they got a very good impression of me. So anyway,
have we even talked about beer yet on this show?
No, we usually get to it in an hour or two.
This is the Garlic Temple show.
Yeah. What's up, Karl? How are you?
How are you?
Were you just at Moody Tongue? Is that why you were late?
Yes. In retrospect, I'm glad that you weren't able to join me.
Okay.
The fact that I just walked in the door at 8:15.
Yeah, that would have been difficult.
Yeah.
How was it, man? So you were at a very they're aiming pretty high. The Moody Tongue craft room, right?
Yeah. Some might say that they're aiming for a Michelin star.
Oh,
we did say that. Yeah,
couldn't tell you who that was.
Tribune.
Yeah,
we reviewed it this week.
You've been too, Josh?
Yeah, we published a review on Wednesday in the dining section. We gave it 3 stars, which is excellent. And my colleague, the restaurant critic Phil Vittel, in the very first sentence says, Band of Bohemia is the only Michelin-starred brew pub in the country, and Moody Tongue may very well be the second when the next round of stars are handed out. So they're aiming high, and they've pulled it off pretty well. Well, Karl just came straight from there. What'd you think?
Yeah, you guys put a really nice big target on their back.
I think for better.
It was really good. I saw that they had a really good restaurant week menu because it's restaurant week right now in Chicago. It's between my work and here. I stopped by. I sat at the bar. Jared made me in about 30 seconds. Came up. Tried a lot of beers. Had some really good food. It's in a really weird space, like a location. In terms of where breweries are in the city. But for a Thursday night in the beginning of February, it was packed. I was really surprised. I thought I was going to be... I called yesterday and I was like, can I get a reservation for the restaurant week thing? It's just me. And they're like, oh yeah, no, just come in, sit at the bar. It'll be no problem. So I took that to mean it'll be vacant.
Yeah.
For a Thursday night in, what is essentially I think it's Bronzeville. But it was really busy. It was a really nice space. Really, really good chicken liver mousse. The nice menu, good beer.
And I heard that depending on where you sit in the restaurant, you have different tasting menus. Is that true?
Well, there's a separate space for it's a 15-course tasting menu. But I just there's a regular bar section.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, awesome.
Yeah, it was good. Glad I went.
Yeah. All right. Have you been, Eric?
Not yet.
No. Okay. Yeah, me either. So
My birthday's coming up.
Did they have the infamous truffle pilsner?
Look for the truffle pilsner. Did not have it.
Okay. It was there though. Oh, they did not have it.
They did not have
Okay.
it. It was not on any menu. I can't say that they don't have it there.
Right.
Maybe if you ask them
It's
nicely.
off menu.
It was there when I don't think they even have it right now. It was there when they opened and they ran through it. It was part of the tasting menu, and now it's gone. Let me ask, does a $155 12-course beer pairing menu intrigue you, gentlemen? And to be clear, it winds up being $200 with tax and tip. So really, it's 12 courses of food. I think 14 beers, which includes a side pour of Pilsner that just gets refilled like a water glass, which I think is a pretty fun touch.
That's fun.
But yeah, $200
for how many people? For one person?
Per person. And the chef is no slouch. The chef is a guy named Jared Wentworth, who opened Longman and Eagle and won a bunch of Michelin stars there.
Whose phone is
That's
doing
me.
that? Okay.
Sorry.
No, make sure that keeps happening.
And he was with Dusik. So, I mean, the chef is super legit. I mean, if someone's going to try to trot a 12-course, $200 beer pairing menu out there, he's got the goods. But I'm curious, what do you guys think?
I mean,
does that intrigue you, or does it
Michelin
sort of put you off?
star level, then I mean, I guess it better be Michelin star level. Is kind of what I would think. It seems to me like quite a bit. We were talking about it a little bit a few weeks back with Pat Berger, and he seemed to think that it really wasn't that. That was pretty reasonable for what you were getting. So, yeah. I mean, I'll make it there. I'm not really getting out to a lot of $200 meals lately.
Yeah.
I'm more of a
That'll probably pick up in March for you, I imagine.
yeah, more of that. I like to take the whole family. My kids love those multi-course meals and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, I hope that they have a lot of success with it. So
Yeah. For like $155 for one person. Is that what it is? I think.
Yeah.
I think.
Just Bodum.
What's Band of Bohemia is like 75 for their. It's less courses. It's fewer beers, but that would be a steal by comparison, given that they've already got their star and they've kept it for I think 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
But two very different experiences, I think. Band of Bohemia is kind of relaxed and groovy, sort of hippie.
Bohemian.
Right, exactly.
Who's that laughing? Who's laughing at me? Better be laughing with me.
I think it's the remote. The remote guest. Nice segue right there.
Yeah. Hello, Miss Kate Bernot. How are you? Of Good Beer Hunting.
It's Bernot.
Bernot. Sorry.
It really is. I'm great. I feel like the ghost in the room, which is really fun. I can just hop in and make everyone scream whenever I want. I would also like to subscribe to Josh's holistic homeopathic goop style newsletter that it sounds like he's on his way to starting. I want to hear more about the garlic and honey, and I will subscribe to that newsletter.
Yeah. It's he's into that. When Josh dies, he's donating his body to pseudoscience, I hear.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
Kate, you got Josh exactly when he was pouring a beer with his headphones off. Well done.
Perfect.
Now I'm back. What?
Yeah.
What did I miss?
No, nothing. She says she wants to subscribe to your homeopathic newsletter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You are the first person to sign up.
Yeah. There you are.
Welcome.
What's new with you,
Fantastic.
Kate?
Well, I have some employment news, I guess, since the last time I was here. I left my 9 to 5 at the takeout and am now a gun for hire, I suppose. But have some wonderful new writing gigs, primarily with Good Beer Hunting. I know Brian was on your show a couple episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian and I are now both part of the Sightlines team over there and doing some writing for Craft Beer and Brewing magazine as well. And
okay, cool.
Still writing about food and stuff elsewhere. So yes, in the freelance hustle now.
Nice.
The gig economy has come for me.
Yeah, man. We had John Hall on a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about that too. The hustle of it all. And I think he was doing something similar. He and Andy Crouch were doing something similar to what you guys are doing with Sightlines, where there's going to be like a subscription paywall version of it, and then I don't know if they're going to have a free version, but you guys are keeping the free version of Sightlines going too, right?
Right. Yes. Brian is primarily heading up the Sightlines Premium.
Is that what it's called? Sightlines Premium?
You have to pay for access to Brian now. You get me for free. But yes, John and Andy are doing a similar thing with the Beer Edge. So yeah, that seems to be a model that we are trying out now that all of our magazines are dead. So
I'm going to give you some advice, or just something how I think it should go. Take it for what it's worth, but I'm telling you, it's instead of premium, since it's beer, it should be like Sightlines, like vanilla Sightlines, maple Sightlines, barrel aged Sightlines, something like that, and then regular Sightlines. I'm telling you, if you want people to buy it, I know what works when you have variants and variations. Josh knows about this too.
Can we do a barrel-aged maple vanilla Sightlines?
Double barrel-aged Sightlines.
Yeah, maybe 2-year.
I think if it's Brian heading it up, though, it has to be Sightlines Ultra. Great taste.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Less filling, more content, less filling, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, or something with seltzer. Every time I see that guy, he's talking about seltzer. I think he secretly would rather talk about seltzer.
30 minutes in before the first mention of seltzer.
Yeah, there you are. Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on, Kate.
You bet.
I have to mention, because Serge is starting to get a little antsy, a little angry at me, that we have to take a break. We started a little late, so we have to take a break a little early to listen to some underwriting. Got to pay the bills here at Lumpin' Radio. So why don't we take a minute or so, listen to some underwriting, and then we'll be back with more of the Insiders Roundtable. Welcome back to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I am here with my guests, Kate, Josh, Karl, and Eric. And it's been taking a little while to get stuff going, but Eric, you said that you were hoping we would talk about some of the beers we've had lately that we've been enjoying. Why is that? Why did you want to ask about?
Well, for one, I know it's what the fans are listening for. For two, it's been a long-running segment. And for three, I think, probably the best beer I've ever had.
What?
Like last week.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
No hyperbole. Actually, maybe the best beer you've ever had.
Correct.
Probably the best beer you've ever had.
Yeah.
You have everyone's attention right now.
There's a brewery called Is Was here in Chicago.
Okay.
And they made a beer called Method Dust.
Oh, I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
You've heard of it.
I've had it. I
actually had it at Beer Temple. Mm-hmm. It's a Citra-style ale.
Mm-hmm.
A Citra-style ale?
A Citra-style ale.
Those are really blowing up right now.
Correct. I waited in line for hours
for
this beer. And I got in the door. I watched the keg kick, and I waved my hands at the bartender. I said, "Please, please, please, save me the end of the keg." So they did give me the foam. So I only got to consume like an ounce or two of the nectar, but it was transcendent.
Yeah. What about it? It was just like Citra?
Yes.
Good. Do you think there's going to be a lot of trade value in it? I'm asking for a friend.
In the dust-based economy?
Yeah, like could you trade dust?
I believe so.
Right.
Method dust.
Method dust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to have that. I mean, coming from you, that's a pretty strong recommendation. Everyone knows that
there's zero dust bias going on in this room right now. This is pure, straight ahead, unadulterated appreciation of a beer that's in the dust-based economy.
I don't know what they're doing at Is Was, but I hope those guys just keep going forever.
Yeah.
They're on the up and up for sure.
Well, in that vein, can I share mine?
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of, it's like a hybrid. I put some Citra hops in my Vitamix along with some chocolate syrup and then some lactose and then some sprinkles, and then I turn that thing up to 10.
Yep.
And then you put it in a crowler?
And
then it blew up.
I'm sort of old school. And then I put some fruit that was still fermenting.
Yeah.
And then it exploded in my face, and then I licked my face, and it was delicious.
Why no cinnamon?
That was...
Last year's was better.
Cinnamon is actually the next variant.
I gotcha.
Got it.
Actually, no. Can I answer this sincerely
Yes.
now? Are we
Yes.
allowed to be sincere?
I was.
If you, yeah.
Hard sell? No, I'm just kidding. I just want to give a little respect for the dark lager. I've had last 2 times I've been in a tap room, I ordered the dark lager, and both times I was just thrilled. It was just what I wanted to be drinking. Mm-hmm. Just a tip of the cap to the dark lager.
I want to say, I got to say this. I don't know if I've officially said this on air. I'm a pretty humble guy. You guys who listen know that about me. I don't like to brag about things and bring up stuff about when I'm right and other people are wrong. But last year, friend of the show, Doug Valicki, the beer cruncher, the beer aficionado, wanted me to, try to throw out some trends that I saw happening or potentially happening. It was around this time last year, and I said, well, what about dark lagers? Could that be a trend? Or maybe it was halfway through the year. It's like, no, that's not a trend. That's not going to be a thing. Pick something else. So I was like, I don't know. Hazy's still popular. He's like, perfect. Great one. Or something like that. And then I wrote about that. And lo and behold, dark lagers.
It was a trend.
Micro trend, I'd say.
I don't know that it really took off. Yeah, micro trend might, but is a micro trend even a trend? But in Chicago, there were like a dozen breweries released dark lagers last year. And it's like, where are these all coming from?
Yeah.
And it's just sort of that shift. It's a little palate fatigue, right, from the Haze-Bro.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect antidote.
Yeah, I agree. They're good. Anyone
Next
else?
step, English style milds.
English mild. Well, we're a ways from that, I think. Bitter, maybe. Sort of dark lagers.
Close enough for me.
Yeah. Hopewell has one that they call a black pilsner, which I think is kind of smart. So, and it's really good. Off black. It's great. Kate or Karl? Anyone?
I'll jump in.
Okay.
I'll jump in only because I have something to add to the Chicago dark lager conversation. Last time I was in town, I had an excellent Czech dark lager at Dovetail. As expected, It was great. But right now this is such a great, actually this little thread is great because picked up on the dark lager thing, mentioned Dovetail. Today, my friend Jenny Faflin was reminding me that if I want delicious dry stouts, Half Acre's Original Reaper is her favorite.
Oh, you stole mine. I was going to say that.
See, I'm drawing all the threads, weaving them into a beautiful blanket here. But I've never had that beer, and now I'm jealous of all of you in Chicago who get to drink it.
Kate, it is actually in this studio right now. If only you were not remote.
Mm-hmm.
If only my teleportation skills were better.
There's a few places that have it on Nitro as well, which I think it's even better on Nitro. And what I'll do is I'm going to ask Eric. Eric can get things done over there, and Eric's going to hook me up with a cask of it. So thank you, Eric, for that cask of Original Reaper. So thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, good beer. Thank you, Kate. Anything from you, Karl? Now that you're
that really was what I was going to say. I picked up a 4-pack of it over the weekend. Was gone in a day and a half. It's just a really good, straightforward, dry stout. No bells and whistles. It's just a good beer.
It's funny. This is kind of a trend then that we all have beers that we were already going to mention that somebody else mentioned ahead of time, because mine is actually Methode Dust. I had that recently, and it knocked me off my feet. I was also at the release. It was actually at the Beer Temple, and I still barely got any because it kicked so fast. So yeah, it was. I mean, I think it's a pivotal moment in in a lot of things, beer being one of them, but just a lot of pivots happening because of that beer. So anyway, moving right along. What's up, Josh?
Can you explain that?
Yeah, explain what?
Why is this beer such a big deal?
Well, it's got Citra hops in it. So
okay. Oh, we're still there. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll let you kind of take it from there. If I
So
I
it's
need
one
to spell it out.
What are we at? About is it 5 beers that have Citra in it, or 6 now?
Well, they did 2 versions, so 6.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, there's 2. There's one with bread in it.
It's an exciting time to be a beer drinker.
Yeah.
And also a hard seltzer drinker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reformulated Truly.
So do you want to
Big news.
Do you want to talk about the Super Bowl, the beer ads? Big day for beer ads. We can probably knock this one out pretty fast. I would think, right? There's some beer. Well, there was Bud Light, seltzer, right?
Yeah, that's the one with
seltzer in it.
Yeah.
Post Malone.
Post Malone. Is he
Yes.
a rapper or a singer? I don't even
Both.
know.
Both.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And a lot of good memes.
Is he any good?
With Post Malone from that commercial, which I appreciate as a millennial.
Yeah. You're all about that meme game.
Good is subjective in art, so that's yep.
Yes,
My
and no.
kids listen to
You
him.
can hear
Some
him
of
in
his
the-
songs.
well,
Some
you
of
see,
his songs.
You
that
hear him in the
answers-
Uber very
that answers
often.
Yeah, if you're in an Uber, you've probably heard him. That's very, very true. Very, very good point, Eric. Yeah, Serge also says yes.
I only get Drakes in my Uber. What am I doing wrong?
Not going to the right spots, I guess.
Clearly.
You need to be going to where I work or home, my home. You'll definitely hear it then. That's where I hear it. Yeah, so there's seltzer. There was just that, right? It was just Bud Light seltzer. They had the seltzer game on
Wait,
lock,
are we
right?
talking about? Are we really
Super
talking
Bowl.
about the ads?
Well, we were going to talk about St. Archer, too. And
Yeah,
the
that
whole
was
St.
the one
Archer
that came to
thing.
mind was St. Archer.
Yeah, so St. Archer going directly at
Mick
Mick Ultra. I mean, what do you think Brian Roth thinks about that? Was he just like, did he take his hat off and just throw it on the ground and storm out of the room when he saw that commercial?
Well, that's actually, I don't know, should we go into the locale discussion now?
Well, why don't we start there
Well,
and we'll go, yeah. What's up, Kate?
I'm assuming Josh got a similar press mailer maybe to what I got, which was the essentially Pepsi Challenge 2020, where Molson Coors, no R.I.P. Miller Coors now, right?
Yep.
Sent 2 cans of Michelob Ultra and 2 cans of St. Archer Gold and said,
And can you
we trust
Yeah.
that you will love ours in this Pepsi challenge, which I thought was bold. I don't think a brewery has ever sent me their competitor before. And I also wanted to know how they acquired all that Michelob Ultra. Did they just go to the grocery store? Like, what intern's job was that? I don't know. But I thought that was a cool, I don't know, bold. I'll give them credit for that.
Can you explain the packaging a little bit, like how it arrived? It was pretty involved little box that you guys were sent from what I've seen on the memes.
It was a foam rectangle with 4
like cutouts,
slim,
right? Yeah.
slim cans, which is how you know it's low calorie because it's in a literal skinny can. Mm-hmm. You can become like the can if you drink it. So two Mick Ultras, 2 St. Archer Gold side by side.
Did you
Try it
do
out.
the taste test, Kate?
I did the taste test.
And
I swear, okay, I did the taste test twice on 2 different days, entirely blind.
Okay.
I had someone else
Very
pour
good
them
for you.
for me.
Very good.
Only the finest methodology for that.
Method.
Because the first time I drank the St. Archer Gold, I swore mine was oxidized. And so was the second can. Like, they just didn't taste fresh at all. So it felt like an unfair.
that's weird. So Molson
It was
Coors
very
sent
weird.
you not fresh beer.
It did not. I mean,
Apparently.
I don't know
But
if
it-
that was just like weird transit issues or something, but the Mick Ultra tasted fine. So I
Whoa.
emailed them about it, actually. I was like, hey, thank you, but I feel like this is weird because these didn't taste like the best versions of themselves.
Have you had the beer before? Or could
Not
that be
I
how
can
the beer
recall.
tastes? Could it just taste kind of like...
I would not be shocked if there were like some heat issues in transit between what I'm assuming is their Chicago office and Montana.
And tropical Missoula.
Yeah.
No, but...
UPS trucks get warm. You know,
Yeah.
it happens.
I'm going to chalk it up
Yes.
to a transit issue.
How did they respond?
They didn't email me back.
Oh, classy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Well, I did a side by side.
Well, that just... Serge, don't. Whatever you're doing for Buster is not being good to us. Anyway, what'd you say?
I tried them side by side. My St. Archer Gold was not oxidized, and I thought it was pretty darn tasty, actually.
Yeah.
Good.
I liked it. And I don't love Michelob Ultra.
I'm not the biggest Mick Ultra guy. I mean, it tastes very, very light.
Can I ask
Very light, yeah.
Can I ask a very basic question? Are they the same style?
They are. So, we should have started probably at the beginning. So they're both just extremely light, low-cal, low-carb, big beer lagers. So Michelob Ultra is the runaway freight train for Anheuser-Busch, basically single-handedly propping that company up as all its other major brands lose share. And they've sort of had their run at the low-cal, low-carb market for the last several years.
I mean, they
invented
it.
They invented
much.
it. Yep.
It's not
sort
just
of
low
by
cal,
accident.
Low carb. It became like a lifestyle brand for them.
It's more of a marketing thing than an actual like style designation. I mean, everything would fall into the light American lager. It's just that
but
they
this is
decided
low.
to talk about the calories and the carbs before anybody else.
And have pictures of people like
they
running
planted that
marathons
flag.
and climbing
Right.
rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then going to parties.
And interestingly, it was initially introduced as a beer for boomers. You're getting older. You can't drink as many
No
calories
way.
as you used to.
Really?
Yeah. And it did not take off in that way, and it just sort of happened to take off with the active crowd.
First
But
people
it's-
I ever saw drinking it were like early adopters, and they are like hyper athletic fitness people who like make that a major focus of their life, fitness and
Fitness has become more mainstream, right? I mean, we're all talking about better for you, and that's part of why hard seltzer took off. And so all these craft breweries are jumping into the low-cal, low-carb game now. Like we're all sitting around here in the studio drinking Lighthearted from Bell's, and with a lot of curiosity and interest. And so Molson Coors felt that it needed to get in on this. Corona has Corona Premier. That's their take on it. And Molson Coors needed to throw their hat in the ring. And so they came up with St. Archer Gold, which is sort of a hybrid craft, but not craft. And it's got the exact same calories, same carbs. So it's quote unquote better for you light beer. So I guess that would be the style.
You know
ahead.
what's interesting is that, do we remember the Boston Beer Company 26.2 like marathon Goza? Which
yeah, they spun that off
seemed
as their
also
own
in this?
company, didn't they?
Yeah, that was just like its own standalone beer.
Yeah, but that was
Or
also
own
in
brand,
this
yeah, they like to do that.
vein, and it's completely a non-starter now, right? I mean, it doesn't. Does it exist anymore?
If only
I don't
Andy
think so.
Crouch was on this show, or
Right.
some Bostonian.
I don't know.
I think the plan was to
They do
spin
that
it
a lot.
off as a brand unaffiliated with
they
Boston.
had that
Beer. I don't know
Radler
if that
spinoff
happened or
too, when Radlers were hot for like half a summer, and I think they just kind of they want to get out in front of all that stuff, and if one of them takes off, a la Truly, or Angry Orchard or something like that, or Twisted Tea, then they're right there as kind of one of the early players who can have serious distribution. So
Was
Yeah.
St. Archer Gold a beer before they got bought out?
It was not.
Okay.
It was innovated. Sort of, my understanding is in tandem between Molson Coors and St. Archer, with the goal of scaling it up
Gotcha.
to initially be a low cal craft beer, but it didn't perform very well as a low cal craft beer. It performed, they say, in their test markets better as an alternative to Michelob Ultra. So it is not a true St. Archer brand. It's
Sure.
really a Molson Coors brand. So it's like pretty classic big beer sort of sneakery hiding behind their craft brands when it is in fact completely and totally a Molson Coors product.
why do you think they went with St. Archer instead of Molson or?
Because, well,
Yeah,
I wrote a
Coors
story about it. I interviewed them and asked them that very thing. I said, well, doing Miller or Coors would make a lot more sense in some ways. They said, yes, those are the more recognizable brands. But St. Archer, they feel like, and I think it makes some sense that it has the brand has a certain credibility among the crowd they're going for, which is the younger, healthier crowd, and that those people don't want a Miller product. They don't want Miller Gold. They don't. That's what their parents drink. They don't even want Coors Gold. They want this cool, hip brand, and St. Archer is closer to that. The challenge there, of course, is that there's not a lot of familiarity with the St. Archer brand.
Right.
Whereas there'd be immediate familiarity with Coors or Miller, but maybe brings a little baggage that they think that crowd doesn't want. So they're trying to penetrate with the St. Archer brand. And St. Archer, they're one of those quote unquote craft breweries that was the skeptics say was sort of built to sell from the start.
Yeah.
And say, part of their story, which sort of reeks of that built to sell thing, is we're a brewery started by artists and skateboarders and surfers, and like they've sort of always built themselves around that we're super cool San Diego vibe thing. And Miller, I guess, was into that, and that's part of why they bought them, and that's part of why they're building this brand around it too. And I think the can even says it, like, we're a brewery built of skateboarders and surfers and artists, and we love life, man. Like that kind of thing.
I didn't even know they were from San Diego. I swear I thought they were from Texas.
No,
Yeah, that's probably Revolver.
That's the other brewery they bought. Yeah.
That's St. Arnold.
St.
Or
Arnold.
St. Arnold.
Yeah.
There's another Saint from Texas.
No.
Yeah, this is St.
Well, Saint-
Arnold.
St.
is
Arnold
Texas.
did not sell.
Right. St. Arnold is like one of the oldest craft breweries.
Yeah, they're like
if not
the-
the
Yeah.
oldest in Texas.
They're like the Goose Island of Texas before Goose Island sold,
Right.
Got it.
I guess. Revolver's the one that Miller
Yeah.
bought down there. Anyway, so it's an interesting experiment. We'll see if St. Archer Gold could be a big deal in a year, or it could be
Super
already an
Bowl ad.
afterthought.
Super Bowl ad. So
Yeah, and the fact that they bought a Super Bowl ad for it shows. And again, in the ad, they went right after Michelob Ultra, just like they did in that mailing to Kate and other media.
yeah.
We'll see. It's going to be a wide open space in 2020. That locale.
Yep. Oh, there you go.
It's I did not even know that was the theme of today's show, and I am independently, remotely drinking the Firestone Walker Fly Jack.
Ah.
The
Yeah.
newest Jack iteration. 96 calories, 4% alcohol, citrus, hazy, crisp.
Whoa. Is it good?
Yeah. It's good. It tastes like most of the other 100-calorie IPAs.
Okay.
But no, I mean, it's very well done, as I always expect from Firestone IPAs, especially.
No, let me try some of that lighthearted side.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna try some lighthearted again. We brought some here.
And I'm now drinking Original Reaper.
Yeah. So I think lighthearted, keeping with the low-cal. This is called a low-cal IPA. This is 110 calories, so it's a little bit more than Fly
That's
Jack.
so many more calories.
I
That's
know.
like half of a Triscuit.
I know. I know. I can feel
Gross.
myself getting fatter just
Gross.
having this in my glass. It's also
That's like half a
barely,
Peloton class
barely
to
an
work that
IPA. It's really just a light ale.
Yeah,
Right.
it's good.
But it's got some.
I like it.
It's got some hops going on. It's got some malt
Yeah.
going on.
It definitely does. It's very light. It reminds me of some of those that like Victory, like Summer Love, like Summer Golden Ale and stuff like that.
I
Very
remember that
good.
beer being good.
Yeah, very, very good. But it kind of reminds me of that vibe, like a summer golden ale or summer blonde ale or something like that.
And
I would not drink that and be like, oh, that's definitely an IPA.
And is that really where we are now? Is this what people want to drink? That's going to be one of the big questions to be answered in this summer.
Yeah,
You know?
I think people want to
Because who's putting
be
them
able
out?
to crush beers in the summer.
Firestone, Bell's, Goose, St. Archer, as we talked about, the Shoots.
The shoots.
There's more. I can't even.
There's tons more.
But does everyone want their own version of 805, or does everyone want their own version of Mick Ultra? And I think that's what people are
What
still
do you
trying
mean
to
by
figure
when
out.
you say that?
Because 80, like you said, 805 is like the dominant. I don't know what they classify it. California Golden Ale, Blonde Ale,
thing,
something
yeah.
like that. Massive, where it is. Still plenty of runway for people to do that in any other market that they want. Because 805 came here.
Didn't really do
They went
much.
big for a couple months. I saw a billboard for it at some point, and then it just kind of just went away. It's not a bad beer by any stretch of the imagination. It just wasn't for here. So what it makes me wonder is, do people see that and they say, I want to make that 805 for X market, or do they just see people doing wellness things and say, I'm going to make a 96 calorie, light IPA and hope that people jump on that?
My question is also whether these are just what session IPA is now. Like, do we lose the session IPA set and it just morphs into
I don't know how we can
into
have both.
Huncal?
I would say yes to Kate's question. Because, session IPA was hot, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? And then it's like, it sort of fizzled away a little bit. And now it's back in this sort of new, updated context. And I think there's appetite for it, but just low cal is more meaningful to people. I mean, there was criticism about the word session, right? That word, in fact, I think I had this discussion on this very program a couple of years ago, that the word session did not connect with people. It didn't mean anything. Low cal will definitely mean something to people. So probably yes is the answer to Kate's question, I would say.
I think what we've found is that in 40 years or so, really, they had already had it figured out back then. Miller Lite, they said, tastes great. That's where it's been.
Less filling.
Now it's back to less filling. And those are just the two things. It's been craft beer, it's been the taste great, and now they're just going to be like, all right, you just want to have less filling, fine. Here's some seltzer. Here's seltzer and some what do you call it? 100 cal? Or what? You got a pretty nice little... yeah.
Huncal?
Huncal. Here's
Well,
some Huncal.
It was a great decade.
Suncal,
We had a lot of fun.
Huncal.
It's all over.
SoCal Huncal, yeah.
Huncal was how I feel like that was a way that we used to disparagingly refer to like Froyo, like
yeah.
back in the day, like Huncal Froyo was very popular for a while. And 100-calorie yogurt, and now we have our 100-calorie active lifestyle
Craft
lifestyle, wellness
beverage.
Wellness, functional
Yeah.
wellness beverage.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh.
I think
Sounds
we
good
should add more
for
things
a
to
barbecue in the middle of summer, though, doesn't it? Like,
Where does the price for these beers fall?
good question.
Because I feel like in my very brief experience with session beer, when you had something that was advertised as lower ABV, they felt like they weren't getting a value with it.
Yeah, can you charge $9.99 for a 6-pack of a 3.7% IPA?
Right.
Great question.
What's
Let's look.
3.7? Which one?
Lighthearted.
Oh, it's 3.7?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Which I think makes it even more impressive, personally.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe start not touting the ABV, because they're not really talking about the ABV on
Sure.
Mick Ultra, and it's not very high. I think it's pretty low, right? It's like 4, something like that. So maybe they just start focusing on the calories and not on the ABV. I don't know. Because,
Looks like-
maybe people would say, well, I'm not paying the same amount for...
$10.99 for a 6-pack at a large store in Chicago.
Okay. Got it.
that could be a pretty big hurdle, right?
Maybe. That's what I'm interested to see, is if that has any effect or impact whatsoever.
I mean, it takes the same amount of effort to make that beer, right? Like, the process is the same. The recipe is just different. So,
That's not how
arguably, in
you-
terms of, like, the hours and the ingredients that you spend putting into the beer may be pretty close. Yes or no? Am I crazy?
But that's not how you price beers.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking logic, but then there's the
Right.
sort of the
Sorry,
consumer
I didn't mean to be
perception while
logical.
standing in the aisle.
Yeah.
There's certain things you do. Is there a sticker on the label? Yes. Okay. Add $5 a 4-pack.
Deschutes Wowza Low Cal Hazy Pale Ale is $8.99 for a 6-pack, which that might make a little
Pretty
more
low.
sense.
$8.99 is
I hate to say
very
it,
low
but
for a
yeah.
6-pack.
I think that's 4%.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're in the year of Huncal. You heard it here first from Miss Bernot's mouth. Huncal Lifestyle Bevs. Speaking of which, you're listening to just over a Hun-Cal station. This is 105.5 FM. Lumpin' Radio, WLPN, LP Chicago Insiders Roundtable. Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable, I should say. I'm your host, Chris Quinn. And I've got quite the roundtable going. We're talking about lifestyle brands, things that are really, hit home for all of us. I'm sure of it. Well, I mean, we could talk about something maybe a little less depressing, like Stouts Brewing closing, or I don't know. Who wanted to talk about 450 again? Was that you, Karl?
I threw that out
Kate?
there
Okay,
just because
that
it
was
seems
you.
to be an ongoing thing. Like, it keeps bubbling up in terms of...
We'll talk about it for a little bit before we go to the music break. Just fill me in. So we've talked about it here in the past, how they have exploding cans. They also then had a overly fruited, not overly fruited, but that's how we refer to the style in the store. We call them overly fruited sours. But one of those really, really fruited, still fermenting fruited beers that they were saying was 8%, and then it ended up being 2.5%.
Yeah, like 3-ish, right?
Just a little bit off from 8. So, yeah.
Yeah, 125%, 130% differential. No big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was that. There was also, some quotes from one of their brewers, I believe, saying, hey, man, if you want to put that much fruit in a beer, sometimes they're going to explode. It's just what happens. That's a paraphrase. I read his actual quote. I read his actual quote on the air, and it's kind of close to that.
You caught the spirit of it.
Oh, it's pretty close to that.
It's concerning to me that I could store my highly flammable pressurized hairspray at a higher temperature than a beer.
Their beer.
That I'm going to put in my body.
Yeah.
But apparently
that
only
will
bothers
affect your
me.
brain. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So what's up? What else is new with them, Karl?
I just keep seeing things pop up about like cans still blowing up. Like,
yeah, still.
Yeah. In online chatter, which, take it for what it's worth. It just seems like, like in a world where all eyes are on this brewery, like you would try to mitigate these things as much as possible. And these things are still going on, which like, okay, fine. We live in a world where that happens.
In a world where beers blow up.
In a world where beers blow up.
One man.
And maybe 5% off in terms of like ABV. My question is when do people say, okay, let's move on from this thing, which is clearly an issue, and when do people say enough of this trade bait? I want a beer that doesn't explode all over my ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Enough of this tastes great. I want less exploding. Yeah. Maybe that's what the new ad's going to be. Tastes great. Doesn't explode. Less exploding.
It seems like they still have some work to do on that front, though, Chris.
And you said they put cream cheese in a beer?
And yes, I saw on Facebook they made a some sort of cream cheese slushy beer thing with it. No, I'm sorry. It's a cheesecake beer, which of course requires you to put cream cheese in your beer.
Right.
And red velvet cake and...
Actual red velvet cake, okay.
And I forget what else is in there. Lactose, obviously, and probably, a bucket of sprinkles or something like
that. That's not going to be low cal, unless it's low cal cream cheese.
And the last few things at this point are fairly par for the course in terms of what goes into beer these days. Mm-hmm. The cream cheese made me go...
yeah, right.
More than a little bit. And I know that you guys have talked a decent amount about people putting like whole milk in a beer, and how does that work, and why would you do that, and what does it do? And the thing that really bothers...
What's it do? Get your 4 bottle caps, bro. What do you mean, what does it do?
The thing that really bothers me about it is that I kind of want to try these things, though.
Oh,
like,
I have
no
I
want to
interest
try
in a
it
cheesecake
once.
Beer,
I
especially
want
one that
to
has...
try it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
You
just want to see, does it taste like...
Once. I want to see what this does.
Well, I think you just answered your question then.
but I don't want to pay like
when is it
$50 for it
We're
in a
still
Facebook
not
group.
there.
That's the other thing.
Cream cheese seems like a very good choice for a brewery that has shelf stability issues.
Yes. Agreed.
Dairy products are the next
This
frontier.
is like 0.1% of beer, right? I mean,
Probably.
that's fair to say?
Cream cheese is
Vocal
probably
it's a vocal minority.
1/10 of
I mean, the whole
one
thing, like
millionth
the
of
not
the
knowing
beer
what
by
you're
volume.
doing when figuring out an ABV and the exploding cans and the not giving a crap
Well-
about shelf stable and quality and sort of responsible brewery ownership. I mean, that really is just like a drop in the bucket, right?
Well,
Make
but
me
the
feel
issue, the issue was that the owner of this brewery gave an interview to a local paper in Indiana, calling this quote an industry-wide problem, and he didn't understand why they were getting picked on. He says he was misquoted.
Of course, when in
that.
doubt, blame the media.
Lion
Right.
media.
I mean,
Yeah.
it does and has happened, but
What, misquotations?
no. I mean, other well, that too, unfortunately. But the
Only when you're interviewing them.
hey. No, the exploding, but I don't. It's just like I'm so worn out on the stunt nonsense,
Yeah. But there is a
and
Group of-
the ineptitude too. I mean, I don't think it's coincidental that those two things go hand in hand. That the brewery that doesn't know how to figure out the ABV of its nonsense garbage beer also makes other garbage beers.
Well, here's the thing. Let me try to talk about this a little bit. I think maybe why people are talking about it is because the people who are the most fervent about new beers coming out, about hyped breweries, about rankings and ratings and all that stuff are the ones who are into that sort of beer more so than, even other people who are into craft beer, where that has not really been the case before. Before it was those people were the first ones into barrel-aged stuff, into sour beer, into, extremely hoppy beers and stuff like that, then even hazy beers. And it's just gone now to where it's
This
these
is a
like
new
massive,
generation of that, wouldn't you say? I mean,
yes.
it's not the same people, right?
It's
more
probably
of a
some of them.
mutation than a generation.
Yeah, it's a mutation. You ever seen the Toxic Avenger?
Yeah.
So like that's what these people are. No, I don't. Joking.
Yes.
That's a joke.
They're your customers.
No, I'm kidding. That's a joke. We don't sell any of those overfruited beers. They're not stable. They don't make it into our store.
you sell some ridiculous beers.
Yeah,
That
no, we do.
Omni Pollo weirdness.
Yeah, we haven't had Omni in years. We just got it back today. Yeah,
sorry.
yesterday. Yeah.
Chocolate cake, hamburger, French fry, raspberry,
Vanilla shake.
cream beer.
Yeah.
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 I don't think we got that one in, but
It's really good.
yeah, you can really taste.
But
the
is it
chicken.
rare?
Wish it had more cheesecake.
Yes. But I think that, honestly, getting back to it, I think maybe that's why people are talking about it, because the people who are in the, trading forums online and stuff like that often are, or to a higher degree, are the people who are into that. The beer chasers. The people chasing the beers are now chasing those beers, not Bourbon County.
And they have outsized voices, too?
Well, I mean, I think the craft beer scene has always kind of kept an eye and wanted to cater to these super hyper fans. And I think that's what a lot of these really small breweries that are doing own premise releases are doing them. Not most of them, not all of them, but, a lot of them are. I mean, there's, 8,000 whatever breweries now. So it's, I maybe think that's why people talk about it. I mean, there are a lot of these hyped breweries that you talk about now where you're like, all right, what are these? What are the hype breweries? What are the ones that are, the ones that the people are talking about that, Eric goes to a fest and sees people running to get to, even though he's never heard of them before and stuff like that. Some of the time, some of these breweries that you've seen at these fests were they making like super adjunct stouts and super, fruited beers and stuff like that, Eric? That you remember?
Yes, every time.
Yeah.
It's a stout brewery I've never heard of before.
Right.
It's like a Three Chiefs or a Three Sons or,
Yeah.
WeldWorks like 3 or 4 years ago. That's people. People like it.
Yeah. They like it.
And they always, I guess they always will. Well, they'll always like the
don't
new
know,
one or
man.
the next one.
So how do we?
The interesting thing, though, since you brought up WeldWorks, is that there are breweries that get like crazy amounts of hype, like WeldWorks, like right out of the gate. Like everyone was talking about that, but like their beer backed it up. You know, like they do make good beer. It is kind of crazy in context with like other stuff, but the other brewery that we're talking about, like arguably, look, I haven't drank anything from them, but it just seems like you said, it seems like stunt beer. I don't know if it's any good or not.
I've never heard of them.
Indiana?
I've been there.
Yeah. You've been to 450? You've been to 450?
There's also sort of a not conspiracy theory, but a theory that a lot of their support are kind of local homers who don't want to see the trade value of their beers decrease. And I was not aware that many...
Heavens. I can't believe it.
It's inconceivable to us, I know, as, only the most highly ethical beer drinkers. But I wasn't aware that many people were still beer trading in that way, I guess, where there was such a specified currency and exchange rate for everything.
I completely think that is happening. I don't know if it's even as malicious as that or as intentional, but I do think, certain population centers need to have their local stuff that they can stand in line for and trade away. And that's why you're going to have these breweries.
Or they could just
pop
go
up.
to a beer store and just buy good beer off the shelf.
But that's not what they're in it. That's not what's exciting to them. It's not exciting to go and get a good beer and go home and drink a good beer or drink a good beer with your friends.
You know what is?
I think it's really exciting, but
it's not to them.
You know what is exciting? Explosions.
Exactly.
It's true.
Yeah.
Boys
Nothing
love
more.
things that explode.
My kid loves watching demolition videos. He wants to watch water towers being demolished. He asks me to put them on YouTube for him. So it's true. I should just have him watch exploding
you should
beer
just
can
take him to
videos.
450.
Yeah, take him there.
Bring him to the next release.
Exactly.
Slushy raspberry.
So they distribute? Or does this, do people buy these beers and they explode at just at room temperature?
Yes.
And are very, very expensive.
I'm still out of the loop.
I think they're very expensive 4-packs too.
I think it's better to be out of the loop at this point, honestly.
I think they're well over.
In fact,
well over $20 4-packs.
You're
I believe.
the
Well
founder
over, I believe.
of Half Acre, Mr. Gabriel Magliero, once told me that, for the first 5 years of Half Acre's existence, he made it a point to know sort of the ins and outs of everything happening in the industry. And then at about the 5-year point, or maybe it was the 7-year point or something, he was like, he completely divorced himself from it and realized he needed to not know any of this stuff because it's just noise and distraction from what you guys need to be doing. And I think you're better off being out of the loop, honestly. I mean, this stuff is just it's just ridiculous.
Yep, Half Acre out of the loop. No, they're not doing anything. Double dry hop. No.
Well, no. I mean, it's like they need to keep.
Galaxy.
Eric could explain it better than me, but I mean, Gabe explained it to me as just sort of needing to keep the eye on the prize for what they needed to do, rather than being consumed
Chase
with
trends.
what other people are doing, basically.
Right.
And that he wanted to have people who in the company who knew that stuff. Apparently, Eric isn't it? But that he personally did not want to occupy his brain with that. He wanted to work on, the culture of the thing that he was trying to build and grow.
I mean, and thinking back, there have been these extreme beers in craft for a while now. You've had the extreme hazies most recently. You've had the extremely high alcohols. You've had the extreme high IBUs. You've had, all that sort of stuff. I really, really do want to know what the next extreme is going to be.
The Extreme Beer Fest still exists, still goes on in Boston. Beer Advocate puts it on.
Yep.
And in their invitation for 2020, they were like, we don't want your barrel-aged stouts. We don't want your hazies. We want even more extreme than that. And I was like, all right, we're out.
Yeah, like barrel
I hope
aged,
it's a great time, but
bourbon barrel aged.
What
We want
what
your
does that
salsa
even mean?
beers.
Do
We want your asparagus beers.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
that's a great question.
We just want you to put chili in a 12-ounce bottle. No, sorry, 16-ounce can,
Thank you.
Yeah, put a sticker on
and
it.
send it on over. So, no, what did they? Do you know what were they after?
I don't know.
Even
they-
more extreme than that, and
Right.
it can't be IBUs, right? Because that's not what's cool.
No.
Yeah.
They want you to put a cheesecake beer
Yeah, it's
in
probably
a
sugar.
barrel
Ugh.
and then send it to them.
I think
that's,
Dogfish
I think
had-
that's what they want.
I think Dogfish Head's a great example of someone towing the line of being creative and extreme and trying new things all the time and trying to get flavors from different ingredients without just jamming a bunch of unfermented fruit into a can. So I think that's what they were hoping for, is more people would, spend a lot more time and effort and energy thinking about what what ingredients they're gonna utilize or what process they're gonna use or whatever. But that's not what we're really all about at this point. So I have no idea. We didn't go, and I kind of again tuned it out at a certain point. So
And all of that is part of the reason why I can't entirely write off these crazy cuckoo bananas, seems like it would never work kind of beers. Because,
But
like,
have you had barrel-aged cuckoo bananas?
I have not.
Oh, that was
I have
good.
not yet had the barrel-aged brulee cuckoo bananas. I heard last year's was better. But the reason why, like, I really locked into getting into this kind of beer is because I started drinking things that sounded crazy. I just mentioned asparagus beer because it sounds silly, but I really have had a good asparagus beer. And I had it like a decade ago, and it made me go, holy hell, there's so many other things that you can do with beer. And I recognize the hypocrisy of sitting here as someone who has been quoted in the Chicago Tribune as saying, please, in the next decade, let's not throw more cakes into the mesh tun. But, like, I admit that it can be done. I don't like people who do it because they don't have any other ideas in their head, but I can appreciate it when people make these decisions with reason behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Go on.
I had a beautiful carrot beer at GABF last year, and kind of didn't. I think someone put it in front of me. I don't think I ordered it because I was like, carrot, weird, no thanks. A carrot elderflower saison from Ratio Beer Works,
Okay.
and it was delicious. Like the carrot flavor was there for sure, but it was still a saison, and the elderflower was just this beautiful, light, springy, wonderful beverage. And it's that was still probably the only carrot beer I've ever had, but it was memorable in that it was well executed and it was purposeful and intentional.
Well, here's the other thing is, and I mean, I guess I can keep beating this dead horse because I've done it many times in this show before, but a lot of these, and hey, everyone knows out there, I just don't like the pastry stouts, really. I think one of the things that maybe I don't like them is, one of the reasons I don't like them is, like you were saying, it was very subtle and kind of a graceful beer, and there are subtle and beautiful and decadent desserts. That's not what these beers are mimicking. They're not trying to be this subtle, layered, complex thing that's, so that you would expect to get at a really nice restaurant or, a homemade cake or something like that. They specifically aren't going for that. They're specifically going for sheet cake, box cake, cheap icing. They don't want it to taste like strawberries or even strawberry preserves. They want it to taste like strawberry quick. That is the flavor they're going for.
Some do it well. I can't believe I'm now in the position of defending
these
beers. Mean,
obviously,
but look at
sweeping statements.
Abraxas. There's beautiful beers that do this and sort of evoke a scone or something like that, more than just
a pastry stout.
And I would argue probably a forerunner of.
I would say it is, yeah, a forerunner, yeah. I like that beer a lot.
There's a lot of. There's a decent number of well-constructed ones. I mean, it absolutely can be done. But, yeah, there's at the same time, there's also this race to the bottom. And just, I thought Spiteful here in Chicago did something fun with this 4-pack where they did like a beer that was supposed to be
a layer cake.
Yeah, do you remember? Yeah. It was like one can, and it was a mixed 4-pack. One can was, I want to say like
the base, like
chocolate. It was supposed to be. I don't think it actually had chocolate, or maybe it had nibs in it.
I think it started chocolate, and then
the next one was like chocolate vanilla, and then the one after that was chocolate vanilla strawberry
almond or something.
And
like
then
that,
I think the last one was chocolate strawberry.
We heard
vanilla almond. Bless you. Mute.
I was always on mute.
And the awesome part is that this was a mixed 4-pack, so you got one of each rather than having to buy a 4-pack of each and blah, blah, blah. And I thought that was a really neat degree of intention behind sort of what's kind of silly. And I haven't tried
also the way
beers.
they did it was they took some, and then they made the big batch of the base.
Right.
They racked off some of it, added vanilla to it, then took some of that, racked off some of that, and added the next almond or whatever it was, and then took some of that one, racked off some more, and so they did build it in layers that way.
The
so
intention and the labor behind it. Which,
that's cool.
And then they sold it in a customer-friendly way. And that, I don't even know. Have you tried the beers?
No.
I've got a 4-pack, but I haven't cracked them.
Yeah.
I hope they're good, but even regardless of whether they're good, I just appreciate sort of the effort and the thoughtfulness.
Yeah, and honestly, those are not the types of beers that I like generally. I might love it, but I can still appreciate that some thought went into it, other than, well, what cereals haven't been done?
Right.
You know? But some of it is that sort of stuff. Like, what junk food has not been used yet? That's what we'll do, and then we'll take the whatever. Okay. Well,
we did a Take 5 one, and then now we're gonna do the Reese's Take 5 one.
Oh, nice.
That's
get it.
Yep.
Get it in a peanut butter barrel. Were you ready to play some tunes, Serge? All right, let's take a break. 5 to 10 or so. Got a little bit of a late start. Maybe we'll take a short break. Then we'll get back. Welcome back to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Quinn, and I'm holding in my hand. It's not a handwritten letter, but it's a hand-mailed letter. It was printed out. It was hand-typed.
Looks long.
It is long.
Please read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Looks really long.
Oh, boy.
Should we all each take a turn reading a paragraph like it's the Haggadah?
Yeah. This was sent. I won't give the exact address, but I will say that he lives on Balls Pond in London. So thank you to Alex for sending this all the way from jolly old England via the Royal Mail. So thank you very much to Alex. And Alex writes, "This is long, so I should have skimmed or highlighted or something, but I just opened up the letter beforehand and just kind of perused it."
If you get tired, seriously, just pass it around.
Okay. The Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. Dear Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable, greetings from London. I was inspired by the hot take postcard you received at the end of 2019, slamming the quality of real ale, which, for our listeners, somebody, called and sent a postcard from London saying that real ale sucked. And writing this letter made me realize how horribly self-indulgent this all is, as if anyone cares, and a totally subjective one, but here we go.
The letter could have just stopped right there.
Yeah, exactly. Best. Cheers, Alex.
Cheers.
I am also American and moved to London from Chicago a year ago, just for some context. I love cask ale, but the vast majority is actively bad. poorly kept, or both. Most craft beer suffers from these problems too, but cask ale is very delicate. However, this does make the experience that much more special when you find a cask and a location that ticks all the boxes. And Eric, you're going to London. When? When are you going?
I won the trip?
Yeah, you're
Yes.
going. When do you leave? You're going to the Cloudwater Fest.
Yeah, I'm going to Friends.
All expenses paid by Half Acre. So, congrats, man.
Oh, you guys are pouring there?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Ooh,
So
with the cool kids, nice.
Yeah, we're heading over to the Friends and Family and Beer Festival in 2 weeks.
Nice.
What are you pouring there?
We have 8 different beers.
Wow.
All of which I'm sure they also distribute to their good long-time customers. So everything that you're pouring, I'm sure I've already poured many times.
Correct.
Okay. Well,
No question.
Let's move
Moving
on.
on.
From that. Let's move on from that. No, but you tell your buddies at Cloudwater hi for me. Anyway, but you were just asking about being excited about trying some real ale while you're out there in London, and I said there's a lot of bad cask ale, and now Alex he's backing me up. There is a lot of bad stuff, so you do have to go to, it's not just like the draft systems there. Or the cask systems are like maybe draft systems in like really backwater bars where you just can't trust the draft lines. But I'd say even worse. Anyway, he says, what have I said about London? Like, where do you go? What have I said?
Colonel,
baby. And that's what Alex says. The Colonel is still world-leading, and fresh table beer being readily available all over London is one of the best things about living here. I put them firmly in the same category as Hill Farmstead and fully agree that you can taste the precision. It's hard to describe, but I think beautifully crafted beers in good condition have a sparkle to them that is instantly recognizable. I include a list of superb London pubs at the bottom of this letter, which I will hand off to Eric. Thank you, Alex. If it is of interest for your guests from that episode who are traveling to the UK. What do you know?
By the way, Taste the Precision would be an awesome bumper sticker for
Yes.
the right brewery.
Yeah. No, but this letter is so apropos. I just scanned ahead. I got to get to some points. Anyway.
The words cheesecake better be in here.
Close. Back to table beer. I love this beer. The hops rotate near weekly, and it is great both in bottles and on draft. It is fixture in my fridge and what I compare everything else against. Simple yet complex, clean and balanced. The Colonel are strong across all styles. I will say that their mixed firm game is improving. IPAs are great. Okay, my hot take. Next paragraph. Cloudwater is massively overrated. I cannot understand why people love this brewery so much. I try their beers on tap whenever I can and have yet to have a single exceptional beer from them, often being sweet, flabby, and unbalanced. At best, the beers are okay. Seems like Americans come over / try it at festivals and want it to taste like U.S. craft, and that people in the UK are starved for hazy IPAs / things stuffed with adjuncts previously. As a point of contrast, I would put Pressure Drop Brewery here in the same bracket as Treehouse, in that their best New England IPAs are among the pinnacle of the style. I've been to Pressure Drop. It was the first brewery I ever visited in the UK. Really interesting people. Also the first brewery I ever saw using foraged ingredients at Forage from London. They had a guy who was a professional forager. That was his only job. He foraged in London, which I guess all public property is technically owned by the Queen. So he was a poacher. He was just like, I don't know if anyone's read that Roald Dahl book, Danny the Champion of the World, but this guy reminded me a lot of him. He was just like a poacher. So he would like trap hares and like sell them to restaurants and stuff like that. But anyway, he was giving some stuff to Pressure Drop. Those guys are awesome. So big up to you, Alex. You have good taste. I can tell already. I have agreed with pretty much everything you have said to a T. The beer scene in London is vibrant and amazing and a worthy replacement for Chicago, the Chicago beer scene, which I love so much. Thank you for the show and the cranky craft beer opinions, which I mostly share. Well, as I said, Alex, I can tell you're a smart person. I even loved the full Dust Brothers episode, which maybe proves that my opinions are bad. Re, the poor quality of Fuller's from the previous postcard. I am sad to hear that. As a good condition, London Pride is a subtle delight, as are many of the classics, e.g. Timothy Taylor's Landlord, Jaipur, just need to be in a good ale pub. List below. Cheers. Alex, you have hit, what? I have been meaning to read this for several weeks, and I just now got to it, and I think it's pretty much perfect. I couldn't have asked for it to come at a better time. We have
flabby is an A+ descriptor.
Yeah.
I love that word.
Can I go back like an hour and a half almost?
Yes.
So back when we were talking about St. Archer Gold and Michelob Ultra, flabby is a word that I use all the time. Back to Half Acre, thanks to Matt Gallagher.
Who I'm going to the UK with.
Oh, it's all coming full circle.
Nice.
So Matt did a light lager tasting with me for an article I wrote, and Matt was...
That was a game changer for you, that article. That was a
big one. It was a big one. But Matt was I think the first person to use the word flabby in describing beer. For at least for me, and sort of put it in a context where it's like, oh, yes, exactly. Excuse me. So I think of the word flabby often, and that's my exact gripe about Michelob Ultra versus St. Archer Gold, and a tip of the cap to Matt Gallagher of Half Acre for sort of putting that term in my head, and a tip of the cap to Alex for employing it here in this long letter.
Yeah.
I love snail mail, and not just when it's Michelob Ultra in the mail for me, but other just letters and things. And I feel like as all things from the 90s are back now, like chain letters, who wants to start like a beer chain letter where it's like one brewery you love in your town, one that you think is overrated, and then like 5 places to go? Like, I want Alex to write me more letters.
Yeah.
Personally.
You should see the whole second page. How many pubs does he have listed there, Carl? He's got like 10 of them.
That's awesome.
There's a dozen bullet points.
A dozen bullet points of places to drink. Thank you so much. Couldn't have come at a more perfect time, as our own Buster is going to be there. And hey, if you find yourself on Balls Pond, maybe you look up Alex. Eric, I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Don't take him to Cloudwater, though. I hear he's not a fan.
Can we actually... I love that he sort of pierced that giant. I don't know if we want to do this right now, but...
Let's do it.
I'd sort of love to go around and hear one brewery. I don't want to say overrated, but just one that
you
is...
love getting people to smack talk, man.
Well,
every
no,
time you're on,
I
you
like
try to get someone to throw shade.
No, it's not even throw shade. I like to just sort of sometimes challenge the conventional wisdom. And I'll go first. How about that?
Okay.
So I went to Burlington, Vermont this summer, and everyone said you got to go to Foam Brewers. Foam Brewers,
I
man.
hear that a lot.
And every single person said it. I met a local beer lover there. He said, "I said, where do I have to go?" He said, "Foam Brewers." So I was, all right. I went to Foam Brewers. I didn't get it. I was completely not into it. Every single beer was overly fruited or an out of balance haze bomb.
Okay.
And so maybe it's just that's what people like, and But there was, I did look at their menu subsequently. I might have been there at a bad time. There was really no diversity. There were basically there were like 12 beers on tap, and those were the 2 kinds of beers. I looked later, and there was like a Pilsner on. So there was stuff subsequently, but like when I was there, just these basically 2 types of beers done over and over and over, and neither done very well. And I just absolutely did not understand the fuss over Foam Brewers whatsoever.
I was just talking to somebody today who had just got back from New York and was saying the same thing about Other Half. He was saying they had 2 dozen or so beers on draft, none of them under, I think he said 6.5%, and all of them either, double dry hopped IPAs or adjunct stouts. So that's what that person was saying. That was not me.
Other Half makes like 600 different beers a year.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just bound to repeat themselves somewhere.
Well, if there's 24 beers
600.
and there's 2 styles among them,
fair.
I think that's kind of what the guy was more getting at. But I'll go next, Josh.
Please.
I am not a fan. It's not that I hate, and I think that's what you're saying. It's not throwing shade. It's just not a fan.
No, it's just
right?
and maybe, and I would even give, if I went back to Burlington, I would give foam brewers another chance.
Sure.
But I'm just saying, I just appreciate the conversation of like, let's just challenge the conventional wisdom a little bit, man.
Treehouse doesn't really do anything for me.
Big. Yeah.
Now, I do remember the first time I ever had Julius was before I'd ever heard of Treehouse, and it was whenever Shelton Brothers was had their fest in L.A., so maybe 5 years ago or so, maybe more. And I did like Julius. I don't think I'd ever had really a hazy beer other than the Alchemist at the time, so it's like that long ago. But the stuff I've had lately now, I just, they don't really interest me. The super juicy style, is even as the hazy types of beers diverge into kind of hazy and juicy. The juicy side is the one that interests me even less. So that's just stuff where, like, for example, if there was, Treehouse on at my bar right now and I went up to get a beer, it would definitely not be my first choice and probably not my second or third choice. It's just not something that I really tend to like. Nothing against people who like them. I really admire Treehouse in how much they're able to sell own premise and how they've been able to grow, and again, nothing against it, but I just don't really like it as much as everybody else seems to. There, I went. You happy, Josh?
I'm very happy, Kate.
This is an optional.
I might sit this one out.
Opt out.
Really, nothing is coming to mind. And someone on Twitter today called me painfully nice, and I'm really riding. I'm really riding that today. Really, nothing is coming to mind of like a recent visit that I was.
I'm
stoked
sure I can
about.
go for her if I need to. If I need to come up with another, I'm sure.
I know
can.
Karl's got something to say on this.
We're all going to cop out and name breweries that aren't in Chicago. The only one that comes to mind for me is the last time I was in Nashville, I went to a brewery called Bearded Iris, which lots of people really like, and I understand why they like it. But I was sitting in the brewery, and I could probably find the picture that I took of the menu. The menu was basically like right at the top, the board said like something about like celebrate beer diversity or like, diversity in beer or something like that. And 9 of the 10 beers were some sort of variation on IPA. and like a lager. And every beer I had there was fine, not necessarily a standout. I don't know if it like matches the hype that they get in certain places. It's fine. This isn't like I don't like it. It's just I don't get it sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, where most of us fall in some of these places.
Yeah. Again, for me, it happens kind of with me not getting the hype of stuff. It happens quite a bit when we start getting in new breweries that I've heard about before ever trying. What I found now is that, they make, a lot of these breweries make good beer. They make good beer. But very few of them are like Alex was talking about with the Colonel, which I tend to agree with him. I think the Colonel is like worthy of people being like, oh my gosh, you have to try their beer. It's amazing. But you hear that people say that about so many breweries.
I bet even they have the occasional dud.
They
from that
have
Burlington
to.
trip, we landed at the airport and I dragged my family to Farmhouse. Is that the name of the
Hill
place?
Farm?
No, it's a restaurant in Burlington that has a
Oh.
great beer selection. I think it's called the Farmhouse. And they had 2 Hill Farmsteads on. And, of course, the first one I got was, I forget the name
Edward.
of it. Is that an IPA?
It's their pale ale. Hoppy pale.
whatever. The first, they had 2 IPAs on. The first one I got, and it was great. The second one was just kind of like a beer. And it's like, oh my God, this is just a beer from Hill Farmstead. Is that allowed?
Right.
And yes, it's allowed.
Right.
But you mentioned something that I think is interesting. You said most places make good beer. Do you think that most places in Chicago are making good beer? Or do you think most places in Chicago are making average beer?
Well,
or is good the new average?
I think
That might be.
average is a place on a curve. I think and good is kind of a threshold. So I mean, it is possible for literally every brewery to be making good beer by objective standards.
So the answer could be yes to both.
I mean,
essentially.
it could be.
And I think that's fair.
I think most breweries that I tend to drink are making good beer. I think there's a lot of breweries making good beer. Are there ones that are the ones that I have not had a lot of good beer from? I stopped I sample much less frequently, so I'll like maybe try it every 6 months to a year, so I don't really legitimately I don't really know anymore. There used to be like so many fewer breweries that I'd be like, ugh, I don't like anything these guys make. Now it's like I've had this 1 or 2 beers from this brewery and I didn't like those 2 beers, so it's harder for me to kind of figure that out. In fact, in a way, it's easier for me to say it with Treehouse because so many people have brought me cans of Treehouse. I've tried it a whole bunch of times, and every time it's good. I don't, if I was at Treehouse, I might pick up a 4-pack to take back to Chicago to give to other people.
In a way, that's kind of the nice thing about every brewery out of the 8,000 making an IPA is that you immediately like have a baseline, and that like, oh, I'm having your IPA. Here's how it stacks up against all of the other IPAs I've had in my entire life.
Right.
Which at this point, for myself and probably for most of the people in the room, are myriad.
Having been gone now from Chicago for years, sadly, but I was back very briefly in January, the beer is so good. You guys don't even know how good you have it. I don't know.
It is good.
I just thought the quality of the beer on the whole is really, really good. Like, there are some breweries in Chicago that if you transported to other cities, granted maybe smaller cities, but to other cities would be like the best brewery in town. Right?
I feel the same way about breweries in Chicago that should have opened up 5 years beforehand, and they would be 10 times as big. They just showed up a little bit too late. But I also I go to rural Michigan a lot, and I drink a lot of those local breweries, and I know full well
that they're
how
not
good
that
we
great.
have it here in Chicago. I do tend to gloss over it from time to time, but I agree. Things are really good here.
I mean, there's more good local beer than you can possibly drink. I'm assuming, Eric, you don't want to go since you work for a brewery. You don't want to throw shade at fellow brewery, but you certainly may.
I'm good.
Yeah, figured. Have fun at
I want
Colonel
everyone-
and Cloudwater.
I want everyone who's making great beer to keep making great beer. And I think we need to, I'm glad that you said this, Karl, because you're right. There are a lot of people in Chicago making great beer, and we're spoiled. Kate also mentioned that too. So I don't take that for granted, and no one should. If you've got a local pub wherever you're listening to or a local brewery, enjoy it. Maybe don't trade for fruited up slushy cans. Just go drink down the street. It's probably going to be just as good, if not better.
I usually don't ask
And
for...
you can meet the people who make it.
Yeah. Well said. I usually don't ask for predictions. We're winding down, and I wanted to get this in, Eric. Just in the coming year or whatever, is there a certain style of ale that you see really blowing up or getting big or kind of changing the game?
You put me on the spot. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been drinking Two Hearted almost for a year straight. I'd love to see some more pale ales.
Okay. You blew it. Totally didn't pick up what I was laying down. That's fine. That was a lot.
Oh, like Method Dust.
Citrus style ale.
Citrus style ales.
Blew it. I'll have to edit this out now.
Please do.
Lame.
I know.
Anyway.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's your final word. I've just taken it from you. You can't say anything else. We still have a little bit of time. There was, well, I don't really want to get into poor old stouts right now. I'll save that for next time. But R.I.P. to another old brewery. We'll talk about it in detail in a future show. But
you might be on your own with that one.
Yeah.
The first time I ever heard about them was when I heard that they were closing.
Well, I'm from
very
Pennsylvania.
sorry.
I'm from Pennsylvania,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
probably it. But I do think that those are the types of breweries that are the most at risk. You know, these older breweries that have been around like for a while, craft breweries that have been, succeeding for, decades now, but are just getting kind of pinched.
Like Sprecher?
Yeah, Sprecher. Exactly like Sprecher.
And Sprecher found the out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
The
these guys,
local investors who banded together and wanted to buy it.
Yeah.
And they did. And do you know the back? I guess I know we're talking about it next week, but what's the backstory on stouts? Why are they closing as opposed to a sale or?
They couldn't move the volume. They said they just could not move the volume to stay viable. So it just was no longer
They overbuilt then, basically?
Yeah, but I don't think they had huge expansions or anything like that. It wasn't something where they, opened up a second location on the other side of the country. It wasn't one of these like Green Flash type deals. I think it was just, the squeeze. It's been going on for a while, and some people are, riding it out, and some people can only ride for so long. And I think it's just kind of, I do think that those breweries that are older, more classic U.S. craft breweries, if they're not changing their offerings up, they're at risk, man.
Yeah,
they are at risk.
Look at Boulder.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think that places like Sierra Nevada are still, doing well, and they just put out their 40th anniversary beer. That's pretty unbelievable.
And have a fast-growing brand.
Yes, they do.
Because they managed to stay limber and relevant.
You're talking about Little
right?
Hazy then, I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. They just put out Imperial Little Hazy.
Did they?
Yeah, we just got it.
Big hazy?
I think
Big
it's called
Hazy.
Maybe it's Imperial Hazy?
Like Husky Hazy.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I just saw it on the shelves. Just
Did you try
today
it?
for the first time. No, I just saw it. I would have brought it, but I wanted to bring lighthearted
cans?
instead. Of course, man. You know how it is. 16-ounce cans. Obviously, no. Does anyone have anything they would like to say in closing? Eric, you're not allowed to go because you botched so badly the last little segment. And this is your... Well, I'll let you go again because this is your
Can
last...
I talk or not?
This is
You tell me.
No, you're allowed to talk now because it's your last time ever on the show.
Yeah, it's been a great run.
Any parting words? Any parting words you want to say? No? Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Once again.
All right. Got it. Josh?
Drink more hard seltzer, everyone. It's delicious.
Really?
No, just kidding. No, hard seltzer mostly
got me.
sucks. It still sucks.
Yeah. What's the best one you've ever had? The single best one, single best flavor, single best one ever.
On the spot.
White Claw
the best.
Tangelo.
I think the White Claws are pretty well constructed, personally, as compared to
We really
a lot of
doing
the other
this?
ones. We've got the City Water here in Chicago. That's our local brand from
All right, you didn't
Solomon.
want to
I
give
think
one.
they're pretty. Okay.
You have one.
Oh well, my one is to
You had one to drink forever.
dark lager.
Okay. Karl?
It's been a long time since I've been in a room with a representative in any form of Half Acre. Far and Away was rad. I thought it was great.
That was his
It would-
event, man.
If it never comes back, it'll be a shame. I'll miss it. It was great while it happened. It was appreciated. Nice work.
Yeah, man. That was Eric's baby, man. That was a great event.
Yeah, it really was. It was wonderful.
Thanks for
That's
saying
that's what I was thinking about when we were talking about all these
Yeah.
these weird ass beers. And Far and Away had lots of great beers,
Anything for Kate?
and I liked them.
Anything for Kate? Yeah.
I would just like to say that when I was back in Chicago, you are so lucky to have peace
Yeah.
in your
Peace
city.
Brewing, yes.
There was a Belgian single on draft when I was there that like captivated me. That's all I have to say.
Swinging
Awesome.
single. I think that won a medal this
Singles,
year.
yeah. We're having a singles night at the Beer Temple. Belgian singles, single fooder, single hop.
That's
See you
awesome.
guys next week.
That
Goodbye.
makes up for all the exploding can nonsense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.